Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Come sit down so you can sit right here. For those of you that are new here, recently found my channel, I am Gwen. I am a mature woman with a transgender experience making content about my daily boring life. So how is everyone? How's your week been? For those of you in the US that um, suffered the effects of the recent snowstorm, I hope everyone is warm and safe. Hope you were able to survive the effects of the snowstorm. We we got through it. We wound up with about just a little under 8 inches of snow, which was a lot better than what they were forecasting. They had forecasted 12 to 14 inches, so that was nice. That we didn't get as much, still, that's quite a bit of snow. Uh, the biggest thing is we've been battling is the cold. Oh my gosh. Today it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly about minus 10 and a half C. With the wind and the wind chill, makes it feel like it's 2 below Fahrenheit, which is minus 18.6 C. So it's really, really cold. Yesterday I was out. Actually, I'm going to could have put a couple of pictures up here. We took one yesterday. It was cloudy out, but it shows the snow in and around, in the yard and around. And I took one today too that is sunny out. Which is really nice. It's kind of sunny, which is helpful to a degree. I open up the back door in the sunroom, and the sun is, because of the angle of the sun now, it's shining on the porcelain tile in the sunroom. It's actually warming the sunroom up a little bit, only a couple of degrees, but hey, that's okay. Like I said, we've been dealing with the cold, just bitter. Yesterday I was out about 2.5 hours. I cleaned up the driveway, got my tractor out, and did a little bit more on the driveway and went over and cleaned out my mother-in-law's driveway. And in that 2.5 hours, I came in and my fingertips were frostbitten. Not bad, but they hurt. Took about 45 minutes before they warmed up enough where they stopped hurting. So, anyways, I hope everyone had, a wonderful weekend. For those of you that may not have endured the snowstorm, outside of your week has been good. Oh dear, let's see. I think I'll do the this week. Last week was really nothing. Kind of a slow week. I did not wind up doing my volunteer work at our town hall because of the extreme bitter cold. And because of that, they closed the trash recycling station, which I was very thankful for because I did not want to stand outside in extreme cold weather. Let's see. It was minus 6 degrees here. Is it Saturday? I'm trying to think here. Saturday. Yes, it was minus 6 on Saturday, which is minus 21 C. It was cold. And I wasn't looking forward to standing outside for 3 hours in that weather. So, but anyways, This week, the only thing really going on is I am leaving Thursday morning. I have a trip to Pennsylvania. It's my yearly exam with my surgeon. So I'm it's going to be like a day trip. I'm going to drive down, go to my appointment, stay overnight, and then drive back on Friday. So it's going to be a quick trip down and back. The weather forecast is looking to be really nice. Kind of, it's just going to be cold, but it's going to be sunny, which is fine with me. We figure I'm going to be in the car all the time, so it won't be bad as long as the roads are dry. Oh, let's see. So I got caught up with all that stuff. Now, last week I talked about what led me to where I am today. And I want to take a little step back a little bit. And I know I finished it off last week with it was around the pandemic, and I had been working exclusively remote, and it had given me time to internalize myself. But prior to that, when my children were growing up, my partner would take them out to go clothes shopping for school and things like that. So when I had those moments by myself at home, um, I guess I would call it, I would cross dress. And that, when I did that, it gave me sense of trying to come up with the right word. I felt complete. I felt whole. I felt very at ease with my internal self. And that's why I'd always thought that, if anything, I was cross-dresser. But like I said, during the pandemic, the the church that I was sequestered in, and it was the church that we were attending, and I made the deal with them that hey, I can watch the church 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, if you give me access to a secure room that I can lock. Mostly because what I do, I'm working with very sensitive data, and that has to be secure. So they're like, okay, I was there by myself, and like I said, I had my work to do, but when I was on site at the university, I was always having people coming into my office and I'm not going to say distracting me, but talking to me during the workday. So, I break off what I was doing, talk to them, and then refocus. And it just kept my day busy. And then, of course, I'd get home, and there's always something to do around here, whether it was outside or inside, or something to repair or work on the cars or what have you. So, anyways, being sequestered in the church, um, 8 hours a day, I was there with my thoughts. And as I said, I had lost, in the span of 3 years, I had lost three family members. So that kind of weighed on me. And then it started into, after the third one had passed, I started into a massive downward depressive spiral. And I did have some female clothing with me. So I would cross dress during the day while I was working down there and then change and come home. Not a big deal. Um, that September was when my partner and I took a 1 week trip to tour the country of Panama. And it was nice. And I thought, well, gee, this is going to be helpful. Maybe this is what I need to break out of my funk, so to speak. And it was nice. It was different. And we got back home and I got back into my routine of going to work. And the depression came back and it came back with a vengeance after a week. I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I was so bad that I was contemplating unaliving myself. I do own guns. I actually have 4 or 5 handguns, um, some long guns, and that was an option. Luckily, I had enough sanity that I said, no, I really need to get into therapy. So I reached out and found a therapist, and I guess you want to say maybe a general therapist. That might be the right term. But she does have some experience in gender therapy. So we worked through the issues that I had concerning my depression. So it helped, but I still didn't feel right. So we continued talking. This is over a span of weeks. And we got on the topic of, I'm not going to say transition. It's more of, she came out and she asked me, she goes, do you have thoughts of being a woman? And it was a hard look at myself, and I had to admit it to myself. And I said, yes, ever since I was about 4 years old. And she's like, okay. So we talked some more, and I had said to her at the end of that session, I'm like, do you mind if I um, present as female to you next week? And we were doing this through Zoom meetings, and so it was all through the internet. She's like, yeah, sure, okay. So the next week comes, and I done my makeup and got dressed, and she started the Zoom session, and she says, "Oh, hi," and I'm like, "Hi." She's she was shocked. She goes, "I didn't realize it was you." I'm like, "Oh." So we had our session, and near the end of the session, she goes, "I have to be honest with you." She goes, "When I started the Zoom session and I saw you," she goes, "I thought you were someone from the university telling me that you were caught up in a meeting and you were going to be late." I'm like, "Oh." She goes, "I couldn't believe it was you." Okay. So the next week, I was presenting female again. And sometime during the session, she says to me, she goes, "How did you, no, who did your makeup?" I says, "I did." She goes, "How did you learn to do that?" I said, "I don't know. I watched a couple of YouTube videos." She goes, "You're kidding." I says, "No." She goes, "Oh my God." She says, "I'm going to be honest with you." She goes, "In my 30 plus years being a therapist," she goes, "my personal opinion," she goes, "is you should have been born a girl." She goes, "My professional opinion as a therapist," she says, "you have gender dysphoria." Oh, okay. I didn't know what it was. So she explained it to me. It's the incongruence between what I feel on the inside versus my physical outside. So I says, well, what can I do about it? And she says, that's the thing. She goes, it's going to involve some form of transition. Okay. So I had to come out to my partner. So my therapist and I made a plan in case things turned out badly and I had to move out of the house. So I had plans in place. And I came out to my partner. They were shocked. They were somewhat accepting, um, but said, let's, kind of work through this. Okay. So the next month, we were talking back and forth. And one day they said, well, when you come home, before you come home from work, don't change. Come home presenting female. Okay. So I came home. There was some shock. Um, it took about 3 hours before they would even look at me. And after that kind of wore off, and it was about 8 o'clock at night, I said, well, I'm going to go in to the bathroom and I'm going to wash my face, take my makeup off, and what have you, and change. And they said, well, I will have to say that you didn't uh, appear as what I thought. What? I says, what, you mean as far as my makeup? And he says, yes. I'm like, oh, so I didn't come walking in looking like a clown with overabundance of makeup? And they're like, yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Okay, thank you. So we worked through that. Um, and I found out that with transition, there's everyone has their own journey. Everyone's journey is different. Some transition socially, which means maybe they cross dress, and they are known to people within their social circles as their authentic gender. Outside of that, they maintain their assigned at birth gender. So that's social transition. Then there's medical transition where you start hormone replacement therapy or HRT, or also known as GAHT, gender affirming hormone therapy. Some individuals go that far and that's it. Then there's surgical transition where and even that is varied depending on the individual. If you're trans feminine, you have the option of having facial feminization surgery where they will shave down the brow bone and the plate here, I'm sorry, the center of the forehead. Um, those, no, I'm not gonna say those as a sign. Genetic males, the brow bone, no, it's not the brow bone. The forehead is more rounded, whereas on genetic females, it's more flat. Well, they can go in and cut this out, shave it down, and then reattach it. There are those that another gender affirming surgery for facial is having the nose done, make it smaller, especially if it's a very large protruding nose. Cheek implants, jaw, I guess jaw shave. They actually go in through the mouth and they shave the jaw down. Golly, I'm trying. Oh, tracheal shave, or those that have tracheal shaves. Trying to think of what else there was. I didn't. There's a lot of that I did not have. Like my nose. This is the way I was born. My nose, and even my jawline. This is the way I was born. The only thing I had done was the brow shave, forehead reduction, and I had a mini facelift. So, anyways, so that's one part of surgical transition, depending on the gender that the individual is trying to achieve, not achieve, depending on the authentic gender that the person is working towards, you can have breast augmentation, or you can have a breast reduction. Then there is what they call bottom surgery. You can have vaginoplasty, which also there's three different versions of vaginoplasty. The most common one is PIV, penile inversion therapy, vaginoplasty. Then there's phalloplasty, which those that are assigned female at birth have a phallus-shaped appendage attached. That's usually done with skin grafts. Let's see. So, anyways, so that's pretty. And I mean, it goes even beyond that. You can have hip implants, fat transfer, actually known as a Brazilian butt lift, where they will take fat around the abdomen and will transfer it to your buttocks to push out your, not push out, but widen the hips and enlarge the buttocks. I didn't offer that, but anyways, um, I think that's pretty much it. But anyways, so 2023, since we're in 2026, so 2023, I started and I had my facial surgery, and then 2024, I wasn't planning on it, but I opted for having vaginoplasty. I don't know why, but I think I could detect what was happening politically in the United States. And I says, well, if I ever decide I wanted to do this on my own, or I'm sorry, do this in the future, I may not be able to. So I opted to have vaginoplasty, which was in January 2024. And because I had a major surgery in 2024, any other major surgeries after that for that calendar year would be paid for because I had maxed out my maximum amount of pocket expenses. So I also had my breast done in 2024. So, but anyways, um, the interesting thing is after I had my vaginoplasty, it was more of an internal feeling that I had. And it was a feeling of relief. I guess that might be the right word. Relief. It was at that point that I realized that physically I was then, I am now female. Um, my hormones are estrogen, progesterone, Um, I have what society deems as physical characteristics of a female. I have the breast. I have a vagina. So, anyways, um, so yes, as, as society would deem me, I am a female. But anyways, after I had the surgery, the bottom surgery, it was this feeling that I've, I'm there. I'm completed who I am. And this now is the way I am. Uh, I have zero regrets. Not one day since starting hormones back in January of 2023. 23? No, 22. I'm sorry. 22. It's been 4 years. Um, Not one day ever since starting hormone replacement therapy 4 years ago have I ever regretted my decision. I guess you could say maybe there might be, if any kind of regret, it might be, well, why didn't I do this earlier? For me, it was more the way my life was. If I had done this 30, 35 years ago, I would have never had my children. And my children are very important to me. Um, Never would have built this house, which that in itself is a huge learning experience, something that I'll carry with me forever on what I learned and how to do this. So, I mean, there's just so many things in my life that I'm not going to say precluded me from transitioning earlier, but had I transitioned earlier in life, I never would have been able to experience it. So, I guess maybe there might be a small amount of regret, but the fact that I can be my authentic self now going forward for the rest of my life is all that really matters. And I'm so happy that I did this. So it pretty much sums up where I am. I mean, I every day I get up and I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, girl, you've done it. You are who you are. And I would not change a thing. So that's pretty much my backstory for those of you that are new here and were wondering about my past. So, anyways, coming up this week, Thursday, like I said, I'm leaving here to go to my appointment in Pennsylvania, and it's a quick trip down and back, which I was seeing this morning that the East Coast of the United States, may get another snowstorm starting this weekend. I hope not. I really want it to be warm. I'm tired of the cold. Even the dogs don't want to go outside. Poor Dexter, whose birthday is today, he's a whole 2 years old. Um, he's reluctant, even though he loves the snow, he's reluctant to go outside because it's so cold. But, oh well, we'll get through it. Um, Weather Service is U.S. Weather Service, National Weather Service is forecasting, I think the second week in February, that we might see close to freezing weather temperatures, which would be great. So hopefully we'll get there. Anyways, I've kind of yammered on long enough. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week and an even better weekend. And as always, like, share, subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, topics that you would like me to talk about, please, in the comments section below. I answer all comments. And as I said, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. And I love hearing from all of you. You're all part of my extended family. Even though I may never, ever, ever meet some of you, as long as I keep in contact with you, you're part of my extended family. Even if you don't comment, you're still part of my extended family because you joined my channel. And I am truly, truly grateful for it. So with that, I am going to sign off. And I hope, like I said, everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, an even better weekend. And I will see you here next Tuesday. And I can maybe talk about my trip a little bit. Bye, everyone.